Welcome to LiCAS.news Weekly Wrap. This is Joe Torres and these are our headlines this week. Vatican officials, including cardinals, are prohibited from accepting gifts worth more than 40 euros. Myanmar's unity government tells ASEAN that there will be no talks until prisoners are freed. India's Catholic bishops hit government negligence for surge in COVID-19 infections. Pakistan's Prime Minister wants Muslim nations to pressure the West to implement anti-blasphemy laws. In the Philippines, Amnesty International warns that the country faces health and human rights crisis a year into the pandemic. Pope Francis has expressed willingness to visit North Korea, says a South Korean bishop. Still in Korea, the former Archbishop of Seoul, Cardinal Nicholas Cheong Jin-suk, dies at 89. Now to our stories. Pope Francis issued a new decree on April 29 mandating full economic disclosure and controls for Vatican managers, including cardinals, and stipulating that no one can accept personal gifts worth more than 40 euros. The decree followed another papal law last May in which Pope Francis tightened rules for Vatican procurement contracts. The practice of gift-giving among Catholic clerics was the source of several scandals in the Church in recent years. The 40 euro limit on gifts applied to all Vatican employees of any level, and the rest of the decree to managers, whether clerics or lay. It said managers must disclose at the moment of appointment and every 2 years after that if they have been the subject of financial investigations. They also cannot hold shares or other interests in companies whose policies are contrary to the Church's social doctrine. This was an apparent reference to pharmaceutical companies and those which severely damage the environment. Myanmar's pro-democracy unity government, which includes members of parliament ousted by the military coup on February 1, has told Southeast Asia's regional bloc that it will not engage in talks until the junta releases all political prisoners. The 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations has been trying to find a path for Myanmar out of a bloody crisis triggered by the coup and has called for an end to violence and talks between all sides. But the junta has already declined to accept proposals to resolve the crisis that emerged from an ASEAN summit last weekend. The pro-democracy national unity government formed this month by opponents of the military said ASEAN should be engaging with it as the legitimate representative of the people. The Catholic bishops of India blamed the government's complacency and negligence for the recent surge in COVID-19 infections in the country. Archbishop Prakash Malavarapu, president of the Health Commission of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of India, said the main cause of the tragic situation is the complacency of the government and the lack of conscience of the public. He said negligence is putting a strain on everyone while the country struggles with a record rise in infections. He said there has been a great error of evaluation by the government and the general public on the situation, adding that little attention has been paid to social distancing while the government ignored the application of the rules. The prelate said the government should have considered that many in India are poor and prolonged isolation can result in misery for the poorest. Relaxing the implementation of the rules, however, resulted in the tragic national emergency, said the Archbishop. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan has urged Muslim leaders to put pressure on Western countries to implement their own anti-blasphemy laws. Khan called on Muslim leaders to ask Europe, the European Union, and the United Nations to stop hurting the feelings of 1.25 billion Muslims like they do not do in cases of Jews. Anti-France protests have erupted in Pakistan in the past weeks as the parliament moved to expel the French ambassador from the country. A banned Islamist group demanded that Pakistan expel the ambassador in retaliation for the publication in France of cartoons depicting the Prophet Muhammad. Khan warned that Pakistan risked paying a price if it expelled the French envoy, as half of the country's exports are sold to the European Union. I want Muslim countries to devise a joint line of action over the blasphemy issue, with a warning of trade boycott of countries where such incidents will happen, said Khan at a ceremony on April 26. The Philippines is currently facing a health and human rights crisis that the government must immediately address, said rights group Amnesty International. Emerlyn Hill, Amnesty International's Deputy Regional Director, said that over a year into the pandemic, the Philippine government's continued failure to ensure an adequate response is a serious human rights issue. The authorities must provide healthcare without discrimination using their maximum available resources, said Hill in a report released this week. The human rights group noted that thousands of Filipinos continue to struggle to access adequate healthcare as hospitals remain at risk of being overwhelmed due to the growing number of COVID-19 cases in the country. Hill also urged the government to put in place specific measures to protect those most affected, including health workers and those most at risk. She said the government must also stop attacking human rights defenders and activists, a practice that only makes a dire situation worse. Pope Francis has again expressed his willingness to visit North Korea as he sympathized with the Korean people long separated by the 1950-53 Korean War, a senior South Korean bishop said. Bishop Lazarus Yu Hyung-sik of Daejeon told Yonhap News Agency that the Pope made the remarks during a meeting in the Vatican. The bishop said Pope Francis said he will visit North Korea if relevant preparations are completed. A papal trip to Pyongyang gained traction in 2018 amid a peace mood created by 3 inter-Korean summits and a historic meeting between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and then U.S. President Donald Trump. Still in Korea, Cardinal Nicholas Cheong Jin-suk, former Archbishop of Seoul, died April 27. He was 89 years of age. Church officials said the cardinal passed away of old age at a Seoul hospital where he had been since February due to an ailment. Media reports said the former archbishop had always expressed his intention not to receive life support treatment even as he previously managed to overcome critical illnesses. The late cardinal, an expert of canon law, was born in 1931 to a Catholic family in Seoul. He entered the Catholic University of Korea in 1954, where he earned a bachelor's degree in theology. In 1968, he went to Italy to study at the Pontifical Urbaniana University in Rome, where he got his master's degree in canon law. Upon his return to South Korea, he was appointed the youngest Catholic bishop in Korea at age 39. From 1996, he led the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Korea for 3 years. He was named Archbishop of Seoul in 1998 and retired after 14 years in 2012. That's all for this week. This is Joe Torres for LiCAS.news, your independent Catholic news source in Asia. For more stories, visit our website and follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.